Now, for indirect measurement, it's basically when we measure something that we cannot physically reach. So, for example, I ask you to go out there and measure the height of a tree without actually climbing the tree, or go to a place and measure the height of a house, the height of a building, something that we cannot physically reach. What we're gonna do, we're gonna measure the height of something similar to it, and we're gonna compare the two measurements. So we're gonna use similarity rules to be able to compare it. Now, one interesting part is that imagine you have a tree. Let's say that's a tree. I put a little cricket because let's say that's a tree, and the tree has a shadow, right? The interesting part is that if it's standing straight, you have a 90-degree angle. But let's say you stand at the side. So you're shorter than the tree, and then you also have a shadow, right? You also have a 90-degree if you're standing straight. The measurement between you and your shadow tends to be 90 degrees, right? Now, we know how to do triangles. So let me compare these two triangles. And let's say there's the sun up here because it gives you the shadow, right? Wouldn't this angle at the corner be the same thing as this angle because it's created by the same sun at the same time? Notice how we have two triangles, and I have two angles of one triangle are equal to two angles of the other triangle. So shouldn't I call those two triangles similar based on angle? So those two triangles are similar. That idea is what I'm going to follow when I solve questions 19 through 22 today. 19 and 20 are going to be in the metric system. The metric system, some people hate it, but it's easy to work with. We work with decimals. So we're going to work on this first. There's a flagpole 4 meters tall that casts a 6-meter shadow. So when I think of this, here's the flagpole. The height of the flagpole is 4 meters. Let me do my flagpole a little bit smaller. The flagpole is 4 meters tall, and then the shadow of the pole is 6 meters tall. And then just to make a triangle, I'm going to complete this third side. I don't know what the third side is, but I don't need to know it either. At the same time of the day, a nearby building, so let's say this building, casts a 24-meter shadow. So I'm going to say the shadow of this building is 24 meters. How tall in meters is the building? So I'm going to say the height of the building is X. Again, let me complete this triangle. But we talked about a few seconds ago at the beginning of this lecture that these two triangles are similar by angle. Here it says round your answer to the nearest tenth. How tall in meters is the building? Basically solve for X. What I'm going to do, let me use the two measurements of the building, right? The height and the shadow. I'm going to write X over 24, which is equal to the height of the building is X, right? And the height of the flagpole is 4. So X goes with 4, X goes with this 4, and then 24 goes with 6. So I'm going to write this. And then I remember that I said when two fractions equal each other, we can just cross multiply. So when I go X times 6, that's basically 6X, is equal to 4 times 24. That's basically 96. To solve for X, let me divide both sides by 6. 96 divided by 6, it gives me that X is equal to 16. Nice. So the height of the building is 16 meters. Pretty simple, right? It's nice when my answer happens to be a whole number, but some of our cases are going to be decimals. The instructions at the end says round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. So that means you're going to deal with some decimals, but make sure you round it to one decimal place if necessary. Take a look at question number 20. There's a person that is 1.6 meters tall, cast a 3-meter shadow. All right, so there's a person. The height of the person is 1.6, and I'm going to say the shadow is 3 meters. At the same time of the day, a nearby tree cast a 14-meter shadow. So there's the tree. I don't know the height, so let me call it X, but I know the shadow of the tree is 14. How tall in meters is the tree? Okay, so I know how to solve for this. According to the measurements from the tree, I'm going to write my fraction X over 14. Remember, those are the measurements from the tree. X goes with 1.6, and 14 goes with 3. I'm going to cross multiply it. 3 times X is 3X. 14 times 1.6 is 22.4. I'm not rounding my decimals just yet. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, now let me divide by 3. 22.4 divided by 3. According to my calculator, I get 7.4 and a bunch of 6s. Okay, remember how it says round it to the nearest tenth? So 1 decimal place. I do take a look at the second decimal place. It is big enough, so it pushes my answer to 7.5. The metric system, we can deal with decimals, not a big deal. So some of your questions are given as a metric system. Your answer might be a whole number, it might be a decimal, not a big deal. The problem is when we deal with English system. Our English system is inches and feet, right? We usually speak in both. I hardly ever, when somebody asks me for my height, right? When you guys were kids, you guys were told your height in inches. Your height is 50 inches, or your height is 52 inches. If I go to a Six Flags or go to the fair or something, it usually gives me the measurement in just inches. Like you must be 52 inches tall to write this, to get on this right. However, when we speak, we break it down to feet and inches. Now, 12 feet is 1 inch. I mean, 12 inches is 1 foot. So remember, 12 inches is 1 foot. I'm going to give you guys a measurement in feet and inches, and I need you to change it all to inches to begin with. Work it out, and then answer it in feet and inches. Okay, so let's take a look. There's a flagpole that cast a shadow of 11 feet 2 inches. So the flagpole is 32 feet 3 inches tall, and the shadow is 11 feet 2 inches. So there's the flagpole, and then there's the shadow. Now 32 feet 3 inches. Change that to inches. So let me see here at the side. 32, I'm gonna go 32 times 12, and then plus 3. Right, 32 feet, I'm going to transfer that to inches. So 32 times 12 plus 3, it gives me 387 inches. So 32 feet with 3 inches is basically 387 inches. 11 feet 2 inches. Let me write this right here. 11 feet 2 inches is basically 11 times 12 plus 2. And that's going to give me 134 inches. I have to transfer all my information to inches only. So the flagpole is 387 inches, and then the shadow is 134 inches. At the same time of the day, there's a nearby building that casts a shadow of 15 feet 1 inch. So I have no idea how big is the building, but I know the shadow is 15 feet 1 inch. Okay, so let me do that right here. 15 feet 1 inch. I have to go 15 times 12 plus 1. I have to transfer all of this to inches only. 15 times 12 is 180, plus 1 is 181. So again, change everything to inches only. So there's a flagpole that is 387 inches. It has a shadow of 134 inches. At the same time, there's a building that is X inches tall, but it has a shadow of 181 inches. Let me solve for X right now. I'm going to do X over 181. Notice how I got the numbers from the same triangle though. X over 181. X goes with 387. 181 goes with 134. Cross multiplied. I have 134x is equal to 70,047. Like, wait, how did we get that? Because I went 134 times x. That's how I got 134x. But then I went 387 times 181. That's what gave me 70,047. To solve for x, let me divide both sides by 134. So this gives me 522 point and a bunch of numbers. Let me write them all out here. 738806. Okay, 522.738806. When I round this to the nearest tenth, let me write this to actually the nearest, nearest tenth. Or nearest whole number. That's a matter of fact. Because here, my answer said round your answer to the nearest inch if necessary. So I'm going to call this 523 inches. I rounded to the nearest whole number. Remember, the height in here is inches. So I rounded to the nearest whole number, 523. However, it says in instruction, it says how tall in feet and inches is the building. We usually don't walk around and say, my height is 66 inches. No, we break it down, right? 5 feet, 6 inches. So how am I going to break this? First of all, I'm going to go 523 divided by 12. If I go 523 divided by 12, it gives me 43.58 and then yada yada. So that thing tells me it's 43 feet and some inches. Oh, how much is 43 feet in inches? 43 times 12 is 516 feet. I mean, 516 inches. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. 523. Remember, my answer was 523 inches. But then I divided by 12 because I wanted to see how many feet were there. And they gave me a decimal. It gave me 43 feet and a decimal. So that meant 43 feet and some inches. So then I'm more like, all right, in inches, how much is 43 feet? 43 times 12 is 516. From 516 to 523, how many more inches do you need? 7 inches, right? So my answer will be 43 feet, 7 inches. 523 inches, we call that 43 feet, 7 inches. Whoa, okay, let's do another example here. There's a person that is 5 feet, 8 inches tall. So 5 feet, 8 inches. I had to transfer this to inches only. So it's 5 times 12 plus 8. So that's 68 inches. And then cast a shadow of 9 feet, 7 inches. So I have to go 9 times 12 plus 7. I know 9 times 12 is 108 plus 7 is 115. And then at the same time, there's a tree that's going to be 18 feet, 3 inches. So I'm going to go 18 times 12 plus 3. So 18 times 12 plus 3 is 219 inches. Like I said, I changed all my information to inches only. So let me do this real quick. There was a person that is 68 inches tall that has a shadow of 115 inches. At the same time, there's a tree. I have no idea how big is the tree, so let me call it X, but it has a shadow of 219 inches. Let me solve for X. I'm just gonna go X over, let me change this to red so we look at this work. X over 219 equals 68 over 115. Cross multiplied. 115 times X is 115X. 68 times 219 is 14,892. Let me divide both sides by 115. And it gives me 129.4956, yada, yada, yada. Let me round it to the nearest whole number, because remember, this measurement is in inches. So let me round this to the nearest whole number. So 129.4, I'm just going to call this 129 inches. Okay. At least I found what's the number in inches. Now let me find out how big is it in feet and inches. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go 129 divided by 12. This is going to give me 129 divided by 12. It says 10 point something. I'm just looking at the whole number, to be honest. What that thing says is 10 feet and some inches. Okay. How much is 10 feet and inches? So I'm going to go 10 times 12. 10 times 12 is 120. So 10 feet is 120. How many more inches do I need? Because remember, this thing said 10 feet and some inches. So my answer will be 10 feet. Now from 120 to 129, I need 9 inches. So the height of this tree is 10 feet, 9 inches. So reminder, the first part when we're dealing with meters, fine, give it as a decimal. Round your answer to 1 decimal place. Now, when we're dealing with the English system, your answer will have feet and inches. Notice how number 21, my answer was 43 feet, 7 inches. Question number 22, my answer was 10 feet, 9 inches. See how I use the 1 apostrophe for feet and the 2 apostrophe for inches? That is how you're going to type in your answer. Altogether, no spaces. So 43 feet, 7 inches or 10 feet, 9 inches. If you have any questions, make sure you guys send me a message.